So first and foremost, we're seeing record high prices in the pulp markets today. So I would say that's certainly noteworthy. If we take a minute to step back and look at how we got to where we are today, I think there are at least three components of this bull market that would be worth identifying and also useful for deciding when prices may be reaching an inflection point here in the short term. First and foremost, I would say unexpected downtime has been extremely relevant. When I say unexpected downtime, this is things like anything that would cause a pulp mill to idle production temporarily, like labor strikes, mechanical failures, fires, floods, or even droughts. That really impact the ability of a pulp mill to run at its full potential, and therefore, pulling supply out of the market. It doesn't cover, for example, annual maintenance downtime. But on the unexpected downtime side, we've seen a record high volume of unexpected downtime that really started to reaccelerate in the fourth quarter of 2021. And that really matched up well with when pulp prices started to rise in the most recent run up. And that's not necessarily surprising. That's something that's impacted the pulp market many times in the past. But it's been especially potent as a supply side shock in this bull market. And that's something that we have to keep an eye on moving forward. Unexpected downtime in the third quarter has eased a bit, but it's still, we've seen new incidents occur, and it's remaining a relevant factor in the market today. Secondly, I would say project delays. When we're talking about new pulp capacity expansion projects, we've seen two projects in particular that have been delayed. And it has therefore kind of offset the market's expectations for when new supply might be entering. The first is Arauco's MAPA project in Chile. Encountered several delays for this project so far. This is a 1.5 million ton bleach hardwood kraft line that's now expected to start up in the end of the third quarter this year. The other is UPM's Greenfield project. This is a 2.1 million ton BHK mill in Paso de los Toros, Uruguay. Now, the startup for this is expected in the first quarter of 2023. And the latest news is that this project is beginning to enter that commissioning phase, and it does appear to be on time and on schedule this time around. But certainly, any future project delays are also a potential factor that's something to keep an eye on. And I would say that the third and final has been, I want to say unfortunately, but supply chain bottlenecks. I think we're all a bit fatigued. I know I am from talking about this over the past 18 plus months. But unfortunately, this has been and continues to be relevant for pulp markets. Just overall congestion, in part due to pandemic-related labor shortages, has really impacted the availability of rail and trucking really across the world. On ocean shipping, we've seen lower availability of shipping containers. We saw that sky-high demand for goods, especially coming out of the onset of the pandemic. We're still working through and trying to improve the supply of those containers, and so far, we've seen container rates start to come off their really elevated levels, but they remain, 4 or 5 times higher than they were pre-pandemic. So, still definitely a crunch for containers, and that's especially relevant for softwood grades of pulp. And on top of that, we've had vessel delays and port congestion, which have just further aggravated that flow of pulp across global markets. And combined, all these three factors have led to less availability of pulp, an extended supply chain, extended delivery times, and really just slimmer buyer side inventories. And that's created this urgency to secure more pulp. But unfortunately, supply chains have prevented that from happening. It's also worth mentioning paper and board imports. Finished paper and boards are also impacted by these same constraints, and that's led to less imports of paper and board in Europe and the U.S. and more demand that's shifted to domestic mills, and that's led to even more demand for pulp in those markets as well.